Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Ghana has now joined other African countries that have made traveling across Africa easier for Africans. Let me tell you something. There was a time Larry Madowo was doing an interview during the Africa CEO Summit, and he was speaking to both Dangote and one of the CEOs of Total Energies. And it was easier for the CEO of Total Energies to move across Africa than it was for Mr. Aliko Dangote, arguably the richest man on the African continent. He needs at least 21 visas to be able to travel. And that is the reason why it's important for Africa to begin breaking down borders and making it easier for Africans to travel the African continent. Hello there, how are you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Ondiro Oganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here, having conversations with you guys about Black people, our emancipation in the global stage, how we can rise up and take up space. Today, we are in the West African country of Ghana, the Gold Coast, the pride of Africa, the gateway to the continent, and all the good things. And Ghana is making this video because there's something really, really positive that has happened in the country. So in one of the last presidential actions by President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo before the completion of his tenure and he left office, he made it visa-free for all Africans to travel to Ghana. Take a moment and let's sink in. That for the first time in the history of the Ghanaian Republic, all other Africans will be able to travel into Ghana, access Ghana on tourism, on travel, and just exploration for the first couple of months, visa-free. And I just want to read for you the kind of countries that Ghana joins. The Rwanda is visa-free, Benin is visa-free, the Gambia Republic is visa-free, and also Seychelles is visa-free. Kenya for a long time was visa-free under President Uhuru Kenyatta, but then President William Ruto came into power, and because of digitalization or whatever it is that administration is doing, now there's a requirement in the form that someone has to fill. There's an electronic visa or entry form that someone has to fill, and that takes away from the ease of access. I think it even dropped in the ease of access. So now Ghana joins these countries, and I'll tell you how it works in Rwanda. In Rwanda, if you're coming here, particularly if you're an African, the first 30 to 60 days, you're allowed access depending on what you're coming to do to the country, be it travel, be it business exploration, be it just sightseeing to see what the country has to offer. And this is really monumental, particularly for Ghana. And I'll tell you for a couple of reasons. One, for political reason. I think Ghana is one of those countries that is a beacon of hope and democracy in the African continent. It's such a peaceful country. It's relatively safe in comparison to many other African countries. And so it's really, really important that they make it easier for the other Africans to be able to travel to their country, because this is a place that is great to be, is great to see, is great to learn from me, is great to interact with other people. The other thing is from the tourism front. Ghana is such a rich country in terms of people, in terms of culture, in terms of food, in terms of places that you can visit. It's a country I lived for about 2 years. And to be honest with you, I didn't even scratch the surface of that country. From the clothing, going to the market, looking at different fabrics that are in the country and the different meaning. It's just so colorful. It's so beautiful. From the food, the food in the country is very diverse. Different communities have different types of food. For the Ghanaians who are watching, I went through this roller coaster of emotions where I would discover food and then it would become my favorite. So I tried jollof and it became my favorite. Then I tried wache. Then I was eating wache for close to a week every single day. Then I tried banku and tilapia, which became my favorite. Then I tried fufu and light soup. There's also contomre. So there are different types of food that someone can try there. There are different regions where someone can travel. You can go to the Volta region. You can go to Takoradi. The beaches are absolutely beautiful there. Accra and Cape Coast have a wealth of history about the country. The Cape Coast Castle is one of the places where during the slave trade, slaves were held there and then shipped across the Gulf of Guinea into the Atlantic Ocean, going abroad to work in plantations. So there's so much history in that country that you can learn and things that you can explore from a tourism front. But I also think that it's very important to begin breaking these barriers, because even just in terms of business, there are people who might want to come and explore your country. And sometimes visas become such a huge barrier because they're not the most streamlined thing on the African continent. It's as if when you're applying for a visa, there's so much paperwork that you have to fill, and you never know whether your visa will be accepted or whether it will be denied. And sometimes some of these opportunities you need to pop in and out. So it's really, really important. And then again, like I think there's this clip of this famous biker who's traveling across Africa on her bike, and she's documenting just how difficult it is, particularly when you're crossing through land borders, how difficult it is even for Africans to cross other borders. I think very many vloggers have done stories about traveling Africa by road, and it is so, so hard. There's so much bureaucracy at border points, which discourages many people. To be honest with you, air travel on the African continent is really, really expensive. We pay anywhere between $250, $300 to $600, $800 for flights that are what, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, five, six. They're not supposed to be that expensive. And so many people who travel then opt to use road transportation. And what then happens is if you're using road, then you have to go through land borders. And that's where the circus begins. But if you ensure that it's border free and it's accessible, or rather it's visa free and it's accessible for many Africans, then people can just jump on buses, they can jump on trains, and they can start traveling across the African continent. And the other beauty is it will now force African governments to start working on interconnected infrastructure, because the continent is very fragmented, honestly. How do you go from Cairo to Cape Coast? How do you go from the coast of Mombasa to the coast of say Ghana, or to the shores of Nigeria? How do you do that? Even just in East Africa, where I am based, we don't have a railway line that connects all of us. If you're coming from Kenya and going by bus, you can go by bus to Uganda. It's about 12 hours. If you're coming to Rwanda, it's a whole other issue. It's like 23 hours on the road, which is not fun. So this will push African leaders to start thinking of interconnected infrastructure, because once those barriers fall and Africans can travel, people can move, goods can move, then you need to find a way of ensuring that they move with ease and affordability. So that's one thing that really excites me. But this is such a great step in the right direction, and we're hoping to see many more African countries do it. I think there's always that fear that if you open up your country, there'll be an influx of people, there'll be crime. But I think Rwanda has shown us that with proper screening, proper mechanisms, if you weed out corruption, you can have the right kind of people visit your country, and it will be to your benefit. Because to be honest, sometimes the biggest public relation campaign that you can ever do is by customers